Clearly it is a epidemic. If you look at the RBI data in terms of value, it has gone up 5 times since last year. So if you look at March 23 versus March 24, it's 5 times higher. As a founder of a fintech where we had more than 250,000 merchants, we have been living in fraud day in and day out. And all I can do is amplify what Mr. Sahaya said. He captured most of the issues, most of the solutions. And the core of it is essentially that there are multiple stakeholders. All of them need to work together. We already discussed the fact that even if you call up 1930, there is no action that happens. So typically, when we sit in a panel discussion, the view in the back of the mind is that, oh, these are fools who got trapped. We will not get trapped. Trust me, each one of us sitting here can get trapped because the way in which these frauds operate, and we have typically seen 60-year-old women getting trapped with all kinds of frauds happening, not just digital arrest. And multiple times we have suggested that there needs to be a middleware, a solution which connects entities like the I4C under Ministry of Home Affairs, the Department of Financial Systems under Ministry of Finance, NPCI, RBI, the fintech organizations, the financial organizations. Let me take one example. If a credit card fraud happens on your card, and if you call up the bank immediately, there are many banks which say, oh, sorry, you entered the OTP, so it is done. We can't do much. Why can't you do much? The settlement happens on a T+1 basis, which is the next day. So banks needs to be heavily penalized if they're not taking step when the victim is calling up. On top of it, the money goes digitally, which means it goes to another bank account. That bank account was opened up with proper KYC. Now, why hasn't the bank done a proper due diligence and a proper KYC? If they had done a proper KYC, there must be a person on the other side who can be caught hold of. If that is not happening, it's a lacuna of the bank. So we see there's lacunas of the bank, the financial entities, intermediaries involved. Also, the moment a call comes to any one, there are four of us who seem to be knowing a little bit more about fraud than others. If a call comes to us, most of the time we know it's a fraud. Then what do? We disconnect it, or we have a conversation. We try to prove to the other person that they're doing a fraud, and we disconnect it. There is no mechanism for us to report back that this number is a fraud number. And if 20 or 100 people report it to be a fraud, please stop that number immediately. So the telecom company should be involved. And this is the middleware which is easily possible to be made. This DPI, whatever you call it, a digital infrastructure that can be created, which then takes information from the citizens, communicates it to the financial organizations, communicates it to the telecom organizations, so that the envelopes get squeezed. You can still not remove fraud. We always have fraud, but then we are able to get all these institutions together and be able to reduce the number of frauds that happens. And that needs to be done on an urgent basis. We keep discussing it, but I don't really see steps being taken. There is a I4C under Ministry of Home Affairs created. Its allocation of business rules is different from catching fraud. And therefore, these changes needs to be brought in. These are institutional changes that needs to be brought in. We are the pioneers in creating digital infrastructure. We are the ones who should be solving it. We have created a payment infrastructure which is 95% there. Because the last 5% is not there, the frauds are still happening at a massive scale. We need to act extremely fast to solve this issue.